Hey, I'm Laura Lloyd, an eating psychology coach. You're watching a series called Emotional Eating Solutions. And this is a series of little videos. They're all in a playlist in order, and they're a breakdown of a free training that I gave in my village this week. And this is the final and juiciest piece of information that you can take away from this talk. And it's something that very few people ever talk about, and is how to surf an urge. If you have given up drinking or given up smoking, you might be familiar with that feeling of wanting something, but having already decided, I'm not going there. Of course, an urge to eat is similar, but a lot of the time when we have the idea, oh, I fancy a piece of chocolate, there's some chocolate in the fridge, then instead of surfing an urge, what we do is we clamp down on it, like, no, I'm not allowed it, I mustn't do it, I'm going to be tough on myself, I'm going to be strong and not do it. And we're trying to use sort of self-discipline and how did somebody put it last night? Denying myself in order to win. And it's very hard to do that. Surfing the urge is a much softer approach, which actually allows yourself to have that feeling of urge and not react to it. And becoming a little bit tolerant to having urges and not reacting is a ninja skill that can help you so much to be able to say no to food that you don't really want to eat, but your brain is suggesting, well, we might as well have it anyway. And I think that it's really important to understand that you probably have urges all the time that you don't react on. You might have urges to, I don't know, like reorganize your underwear in public because it feels a bit uncomfortable, but you don't do it. You might have an urge to drive faster than the speed limit, but you don't do it. Like we kind of say in a gentle way without a big argument with ourselves, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that today. Yeah, I know you want to put your foot on the pedal, but we really love our driving license. Let's stay within the 70-mile-an-hour limit, right? Oh, yeah, I can feel that those knickers are a little bit tangled up there. I'll wait for a moment when nobody's looking to do that, because I really value my reputation in front of these people. It's kind of how life goes, right? So the reason I'm saying that is that I want you to know that you don't knee-jerk react to every urge that you have in your life already, even if it feels like you're quite out of control. You're not. You're actually working with urges all the time. It's just that perhaps you haven't surfed an urge around sweet food or things that you want for a while. So it feels like every time you have the thought to eat, you go eat. And maybe that's a pattern that you've established. Urges happen like this. Usually there's a trigger. Often we've been talking about emotional eating. So often there's an emotional trigger, a feeling you want to create, a fun feeling, or maybe a hard to handle feeling that you want to take the edge off. But triggers can also be certain times, certain associations, like, oh, I always have a biscuit with my tea. A certain place, whenever we walk through the door, we go straight to the fridge. A client told me that every time she goes into her mum's house, she goes straight to the cupboard. It's just like almost like a sort of a really strong association. Or when you're with a certain person, whenever I meet them, we have cake together. Meeting them and not having cake feels weird. Certainly that happens with alcohol, right? You have certain friends who are drinking buddies. And then if you stop drinking, you're like, well, how do I spend time with that person when this is like the central activity together? And sometimes that can happen with eating too. We can have eating buddies. So you can have a trigger, which is like something that sparks it off. Sometimes we don't know what that really was. We don't see it happening until with hindsight. And so some of our work in coaching is about like looking back on an overeat and thinking, oh, actually, where did that start? Did it start there or did it start earlier when I was feeling wound up? After the trigger usually comes an idea of food. Now, remember we did thought, emotion, action earlier? There's your thought. And the urge to eat is actually an emotion. It's urgent desire flooding your body. So somebody might think, oh, I've got some Nutella in the cupboard, and suddenly your body's flooded with the desire to go see if it's still there, to go eat it, right? And that desire filling your body feels like wanting. Alan Carr developed the easy way to stop smoking, and he has a brilliant way of talking about the urge to smoke. He says it's like a slight restless, insecure feeling. That's all it is. And what we never discover, because we always take the route of taking the action to eat to make the urge go away, is that it actually passes on its own if we don't eat. I'm suggesting that just like we felt our other feelings, you can just feel it and it passes. You go, oh, I'm having an urge. What actually does this feel like? Does it feel hot? Does it feel tingly? Does it feel tight on the back of my neck? Bring it on. Let me just be with the sensation of it, not make it go away, and not keep thinking, oh, but I want the thing. Oh, but the thing is there, which is more like putting logs back on the fire and stoking up the feeling of desire again. We just go, oh, okay. And we can be kind to ourselves in that moment about the wanting of it. We don't have to be down on ourselves for wanting it. Like, oh, yay, of course you do want that. We've had one of those every day for the last month. So, of course you want a Kit Kat right now. Or like, hey, Laura, I know you want to have some fun. And like, there's a little child self in there that just feels like you've worked hard and want to have a bit of fun right now. But hey, let's just be with this urge and see what happens. Very kind, firm, loving, but in control, and at the same time allowing. It's like a little balance between kindness and control that you're doing here. It's much less effort than fighting it or trying to distract yourself. That's what we're doing. Does that make sense? Are you willing to give it a try? Right? We kid ourselves that we are unable to resist urges, or the urges are very powerful or too strong for us, and we don't really experiment playfully with what would it be like if I just make space for having the urge and I don't react. And when we've done that a little bit for a couple of days, we've actually found, oh, I've built up my urge non-reacting muscle, and this feels quite doable, actually. Give it a try, see how it feels. That's the end of my emotional eating solutions series of mini talks. I hope you found this so valuable and precious. There are links to the whole playlist in the descriptions. And of course, this is complicated stuff with a lifetime behind it. And most of the work we will do is in one-to-one coaching, figuring out exactly how this applies to you, and exactly what encouragement, support, practice, and of course, I love to use some hypnosis or self-talk training to really support the process. That's how I do it. But please take this rich and amazing information and slot it into all the stuff you already know and enjoy it and make the most of it.